Hey, are you looking to level up your audio game at your events? Hey everybody, I'm Scott Gould of the SCE Event Group, and I'm going to show you today how the QSC TouchMix 8 has literally changed the way I produce my events. Let's go. In our part of the world here at SCE, we tend to have a lot of moving parts at the private events we're fortunate enough to be a part of. Being able to do more and exceed expectations is something we excel at, and this is where the TouchMix 8 comes in. One of the biggest things that drives me crazy is being able to handle all the situations that I put my mics into. Those strange setups where speaker placement is less than optimal and all the different people that may use the mic, some having zero experience speaking into them. Being able to dial in the mics against feedback using the TouchMix anti-feedback wizard has literally been a game changer for me. It gives me that extra headroom, so this way when we have people or aren't experienced on the microphones, I have the extra little dB to kind of raise it up and move it around there. Now, I'm gonna say right up front, I am not a sound engineer by any means, but the TouchMix kind of helps me overcome that. Now, a little background, when I first got this little powerhouse, I jumped on QSC's YouTube page, went through the TouchMix training series tutorial videos just to get myself comfortable with it. Because again, it looked a little overwhelming, and the best way for me is to learn by doing, so that's what I did. I also reached out to some friends and colleagues in the industry that were already using the TouchMix, and I asked them some questions that would work in the DJ world so they could help me out with to kind of move my process, my learning process a little quicker. From there, I started with their well-produced channel presets for the handheld and the lav mics, so I was comfortable using them at actual events, just baby steps for me. And then after that, I started playing around with all the features. I did it at my own pace, started dialing everything in to create that sweet spot for my sound, little by little. And if I use something new, I'd go back to a preset and then start the process all over again. So my TouchMix, I guess I would say, is kind of like the brain of the setup. Everything gets plugged into it from there and then gets sent out to my speaker. Each mic is tweaked for the purpose that we're using it for. The DJ setup has its own left and right input. My iPad lives in its own little channel as well. And of course, any musicians that play with us get their own channel for the night based on whatever we're doing. Now, the TouchMix also allows me to designate an aux channel to send a separate audio mix to videographers, and believe me, they love this. They can have clean audio and they can adjust anything they want in terms of volume on each channel, and it doesn't affect anything we were doing out in the live event, which I think is a bonus. It's amazing. Also, they can unplug their stuff at any time without affecting the DJ setup, because my TouchMix is in a separate case in the back corner, out of the way of what's going on in the live scene. Now let's talk about musicians. The TouchMix has presets for all sorts of instruments, so I'm covered on all our events. I'm not a sound engineer, so I lean heavy on these presets. Two things that usually happen when I work with musicians: I have a musician that comes in, we plug them right in, we set up a preset, it's assigned to the channel, quick sound check, and we're good to go. And I have musicians that are well-versed in mixers, so they come in a little earlier, we dial it in, do a sound check, make sure that it's tweaked, they're comfortable with it, and then we're on our way. And that's the power of the TouchMix, and that's why I love it. And let's be honest, as a DJ or a musician, if your sound is a little bit off, if it's just not dialed in the right way, it just doesn't feel right. It bugs you. It doesn't let you play the way you want. So that's why I love the TouchMix 8. It lets me dial in the way we want to do it on the DJ side and also for the musicians, so we're playing well in the sandbox. Outside of the power of dial-in mics and musicians, my next favorite feature of the TouchMix is that I can save custom scenes for the venues that we play in. We're up in the Northeast, specifically New Jersey. The SCE Event Group has a number of venues and event spaces that we're recommended at. Some rooms are intimate, some are boomy, and a lot of venues are buildings that are originally not designed for events. They were built for something else, whether it was a warehouse or a bank, and now they're event spaces. And to be able to recall a scene for that room makes our setup super quick. And if I'm in a space for the first time and our setup time is limited, I can recall a room that's similar, make a few quick adjustments, rename it, and then I'm all set. Again, another super powerful feature of the TouchMix 8. Oh, and I can't forget the other advantages of having my aux channels, the ability to set up zone speakers in a large room with a delay, or stage wedges when we need them, depending on a live performer that's coming in for a specific event. You see where I'm going with this. It's pretty easy to see how this can change the way you produce audio at your events. Being able to produce at a higher quality, a more polished presentation is why I made the jump into the TouchMix 8. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this level of audio control was just too complicated, too over my head. I don't need it. We don't need it in the DJ world. But honestly, thanks to their tutorial videos, and especially using language and terms that I can understand, and some amazing friends in the biz that helped me out with questions that I couldn't figure out, and honestly, those badass presets, I'm glad I did. So any questions you have about how I use this in my world, definitely feel free to hit me up on comments right below here. Hit me up personally. I'm Chef Scott Gould, AKA JSG of the SCE Event Group. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, and happy mixing, everybody.